Okay guys, so this is the head gasket that comes in the kit. Looks like a 3-piece head gasket. The middle is a steel shim. Looks like the outsides are both copper, and there's a front labeled on this. So obviously you put it towards the front of the block, lay it in here, and make sure everything fits, all your holes line up. And looks like it does. This does not require any sealant on it whatsoever. So now that that's in place, I'll go grab the head. Here's the head that we just assembled. And I felt it go onto the studs. It's on there and it lays on there pretty tight. There we go. So we're gonna install some ARP head bolts, and the ARP kit says to install the 5 smallest ones along the top of this head first, and that's these. And so this is the side that goes down. The little nub goes down. Top has an Allen wrench side that goes in it. You take an Allen wrench and you run it in. That says, you know, they've got an ARP thread chaser that you can go down inside these, each one of these. And I've cleaned these. I don't have the thread chaser, but it is a recommended tool, so that when you use ARP bolts, they go in and you get a proper torque spec on this. The head bolts from before are a torque to yield. So if you're using stock head bolts, that means that those bolts will stretch when you tighten them up. So you tighten them up to, you know, through the sequence a couple of times, and then you need a torque wrench that's got a angle indicator on it. And what they'll have you do is, like the torque to yield bolts, you'll take them down so far, and then it'll say, you know, so much after that. And once you've gone quarter turn, 3/4 of a turn, or whatever that setting is, that torque to yield setting is, that's the torque for the head bolts. But I've got these started. These are not a torque to yield bolt. That's why the threads need to be clean. None of the heads, none of these bolts go into a water jacket like some of the old school small block Chevys. They go into water jackets, so you have to have a thread sealant on them. These go in dry, and the only thing that gets the ARP lube on here is, once this is down, you put a little bit on the threads and then on top of the washer or the bottom of the bolt, and that will give you your torque. So I'll go ahead and run these in. I'll do a time lapse and you can kind of see how it goes. All right. These studs are in now, and they say, you know, one of the key things is when you do the thread chasing for these studs is that they go in clean, they go in smooth with that little nub that I was showing you, goes down. As soon as that starts to, ARP instructions say, as soon as that nub touches the bottom, no torque on it or anything else, just as soon as you feel resistance at the bottom, sorry, that's when you stop. So with these washers and with the aluminum heads and stuff, they've got like a knurled side, and they say that goes down to the head surface. And so wherever this sits on these surfaces, they say that it has to be totally clean so you get a true torque. And the tricky thing with these LS heads is, and if you got fat fingers like me, one of the things I do is this knurl side would go down. I put it over a screwdriver and I put my finger right there to kind of hold it. And then I put the Phillips head right in the top of that Allen key area, and I drop that down, and boom, your washer's on. And you don't have to worry about dropping it down into that. That would really suck. So knurled side down, The washer's there, drop it, and now it's on. Same thing, and there's 5 in the head that you got to do that way. And so, there. Last thing you want to do is drop it down in there, and then you have to pull everything back apart again. That would suck. So just take your time, be careful, make sure you get the knurled side down. Find a Phillips head screwdriver that fits right in that Allen, and you'll be good to go. And I'll go ahead and do that, and you can do the same thing. These are 12-point bolts. You can kind of do the same thing there. Keep your hand on it, and then get a finger down in there and try and spin them down that way. You know, just so you don't drop it down in there. It's just a word of precautions. Okay guys, I've got all the bolts in. They're all lubed. They're all run down to where they're touching. So according to the torque sequence for ARP, steps 1, 2, and 3 will be the big studs. The last ones done are the small ones. So steps 1, 2, and 3 are tighten 1 through 10, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to 25 foot-pounds. And then the next sequence will be 50 on those same 10, and then 80 on those same 10. And then step 4, the last one, is which they're calling 11 through 15. These 5 will be torqued last to 28 foot-pounds. So once all that torque sequence is done, then you can drop your push rods in, lube them up on the tips, drop your push rods in, set your rocker arms in, torque the rocker arm studs, and then the torque sequence on the studs, they have you put it on top dead center, and you rotate it through, and it'll go exhaust valves and intakes on one side, and then a couple of the exhaust and intake on another, and then rotate it 360, and then you torque the studs to, I think it's 22 foot-pounds on once you've rotated it 360. And then you should be good for your torque spec for this, because it's a hydraulic cam. And that's the way these LS's torque down. So I'm going to begin the torque sequence, and so we'll go.